Hi, I'm going to be guiding you through creating the black and white photo collage of the images that you edited in Camera Raw. And in each row of your photo collage, you're going to have one high contrast, one low key, and one high key image. And there's going to be 9 images altogether with a black border. So here we're going to go ahead and get started. All right, the very first thing that we're going to do is we're going to open up Photoshop. So on the dock on the bottom, you're going to go ahead and click on that blue. And you're going to go up to File, New. And this new document tab is going to open. And what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom size. And we're going to name this your last name. And then black and white collage. You're going to want to make sure that you have inches selected here. And we are going to create, the width of our document is going to be 23 and the height is going to be 16. The resolution is going to be 72. RGB color 16-bit and background contents white, and then you're going to create. So this is our main Photoshop screen. Over here we've got the layer panel. And you can see that a white rectangle is here, and we've got that same white rectangle here. As we add images, more layers will start building over here. Like you can see over here, we've got all the edit images right here. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to come up to this is our tool panel up here, and we're going to go to the very top tool, which is the Move tool, and we are going to check mark this auto select, and we are going to make sure to put layer right here. All right, when you have your document ready in Photoshop, you're going to click on Bridge. The best way to view Bridge when you're working with Photoshop is clicking on Light Table and then shrinking down your screen like so. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my first high contrast image and I'm going to drag and drop over. And you can see that it added into my Photoshop document. It's got a big blue X on it. And it also added this layer right here. Now I want to downsize this. And so what I'm going to do is look up here. We've got the width of 20.6 inches. If yours is not saying inches up here, you can right click on that and select inches for the width. It's okay if the height is not inches, because what we're going to do is we are going to link the width to the height with this little link here. So we're going to make sure that that is dark, and that needs to stay dark on each image that we pull in. And so right here on this width number, I'm just going to put 7. And notice that this got downsized. And I can actually take, and on the inside of this image, drag it. Now I don't want to actually drag it from the side because that will make it go larger or smaller. And so I'm going to get that back to 7. And I'm going to place this right about here. And there's a check mark here. You can either click this check mark or press return on your keyboard. Either way, it's going to commit that transform or make the picture into the document. And so you'll see that blue X has disappeared. Now I'm going to have an inch on the top and an inch on the side. And so in order for me to see that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to View, down to Show, and over and down to Grid. And now I see this grid, and I'm going to zoom in so you can see. Not that far. There we go. All right, so 1 large square is equal to 1 inch, and 4 small squares is also equal to 1 inch. So I'm going to pull this over to that corner, and now I have 1 inch on the top and 1 inch on the side. All right, once I have that image set, I can actually go to View, Show, and take the grid off. Since all of these are the same size ratio, we can kind of build them corner to corner and side to side. So I'm going to click on Bridge. I'm going to highlight my second high contrast image, and I'm going to pull that over. Didn't want to go, so I'm going to hover and do that. I am going to make sure that it is linked with the height and the width, and I'm going to put 7 here. It's going to jump to 7. And I am going to bring it up until I see that pink line that shows me that it's horizontal with that. And I think that's actually in the perfect location. So notice that there is a blue X here, which means I have not committed the transformation. And so I want to show you what happens if you have that blue X there. If I click on here and I try to bring in my next high contrast image, it will not do that. So if one image from Bridge is not pulling in, go back into your Photoshop document and make sure that you don't have any blue X's, and you don't need to commit that transformation. So now that I've done that, I'm going to pull this over. I am going to make sure that it's linked, and I'm going to put 7 here, and I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to line it up using my smart guides, and you can see the smart guides right here and right here are showing when I line that up on both sides, and I know that it is lined up with that correctly. I'm going to press return on the keyboard to commit that transformation. The blue X disappears. And I'm going to repeat this over and over. I've got my high contrast images, and now I'm going to start building my high key and low key images by simply just taking, dragging and dropping, linking, 7, move, making sure that it's lined up using those smart guides, and return. All right, so now I've got all my images in the document, and as I'm looking closely, I can see that there is a little white line. So this image doesn't quite touch this image. So what I'm going to do to fix that is I'm going to find this image, and because I've got auto select layer on, if I click on this image, wherever I click, it will highlight that layer. And I'm going to move this over just a tiny bit and line that up, and you can see those smart guides help me figure out, and that did it. If you are wanting to move any of these because you think, well, maybe this one would look better here, what you can do is you can select that and you can move it, and then you need to find the one underneath that. So you can look over here in your layer panel, and there's teeny tiny little pictures, and I can see that dark picture underneath there, and actually I've got auto select, so there we go. I'm going to grab that one and then move that one over. So I had to kind of scooch it over because I've got that auto select, but actually I kind of like it the other way, so I'm going to move it back. There we go. Once I have the images set up how I want them in here, what I'm going to do is select the background layer. And actually I see a few more issues. I can either pull this over or I can use the right and left key arrow keys on my keyboard. And I'm going to select that background, and I think I took care of all the little white spaces in between my images so they are right next to one another. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the background black. I have to actually be on my background layer over here. Over here in the tool panel, you are going to want to make sure that you have black as your foreground color. And you can click on these default foreground and background colors. And black should be the top color or the foreground color. If it is not and it's your background color, you can use this little curved arrow here and you can switch your color pickers so that you have black as your foreground color. Once you do, you are going to be looking for, since this is the first time we're in Photoshop, you're going to be looking for this gradient tool here. And if you can click and hold that gradient tool, you're going to find the paint bucket tool. Once you have your paint bucket tool selected, you've got black as your foreground tool color, and you have your background layer selected. You can just click right here and notice that there is a little paint bucket. You click here, and voila, you have a black background. Once you're done with your Photoshop project, you're going to go ahead and you're going to need to save this twice. So I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to be saving it as Ledbetter Black and White Collage. You're going to be saving it as whatever your last name is, Black White Collage. The format here is going to be a Photoshop file for our first save. You're going to want to also make sure that you are in your Black and White Collage folder. So you can get there by clicking on Pictures, Black and White Collage, and then saving. When this pops up, Maximize Compatibility, we're going to check mark this Don't Show again, and we're going to click OK. And that won't pop up again. The reason why we're going to be saving this twice is because on our Weebly websites, we can't upload a Photoshop file. We need to be uploading a JPEG file. So we're going to go to File, and we're going to go down to Save As. And we can leave the name, the place. The only thing that we're going to be changing is this format. And we're going to be choosing JPEG, which is a JPEG file. And then we're going to save. The quality is 12, baseline standard. We're going to click OK. And then in Bridge, you will see that you have both a JPEG and a Photoshop file of your project. The JPEG is the one that you're going to be uploading to your website. All right.